When most people hear the phrase bedroom secret, their minds instantly race to some kind of technique. They start imagining there must be a particular move, a hidden method, or some exotic routine that if only they mastered, they would suddenly become unforgettable. But here's the irony: the real secret isn't physical at all. The most powerful thing you can bring into the bedroom doesn't have anything to do with what your body is doing. It has everything to do with the energy you create before anything even starts. Because when you think back on the most intense, magnetic experiences of your life, they weren't great because of a specific action someone took. They were great because of the connection that made you feel completely alive in that moment. See, the truth is, desire is built long before clothes ever come off. It's created in the way you look at someone, the way you make them laugh, the way you make them feel like they're the only person in the room. People confuse intimacy with performance, as though if they just all perform well enough, they'll keep someone's attention. But performance has a ceiling. No matter how impressive it is, it eventually wears off. Connection, on the other hand, is infinite. It never gets old. That's why the real secret is emotional, not physical. When someone feels safe enough to let go around you, when they trust you enough to be completely themselves without judgment, that's when the sparks fly in ways no physical trick could ever replicate. Think about it. You could know every single so-called technique in the world, but if the person you're with doesn't feel understood by you, if they don't feel wanted for who they are, then none of those techniques will land. It will feel mechanical, like you're going through the motions. But if you create a space where someone feels truly seen, where they feel like their quirks, their insecurities, even the little things they're nervous about are accepted, suddenly the simplest touch becomes electric. That's the part people underestimate. It's not about doing more. It's about making what you already do mean something deeper. The bedroom is simply a mirror of the connection you've been building outside of it. If you don't make someone feel desired in conversation, if you don't bring playfulness and curiosity when you're together during the day, you won't magically summon that chemistry when the lights go out. But if you've built anticipation, if you've made them laugh, made them feel respected, made them feel chosen, then intimacy becomes a natural extension of that energy. That's why people remember how you made them feel far longer than they remember what you actually did. The truth is, intimacy is not a circus act. It's not about bending yourself into pretzels or memorizing some hidden set of steps. It's about presence. It's about being so engaged with the other person that they feel like every second with you is alive. That kind of connection makes even the smallest gestures unforgettable. And here's the funny part: the physical stuff actually becomes better when the emotional foundation is there. Because now, it's not just bodies moving, it's two people surrendering to the moment, not afraid of judgment, not overthinking, just fully there with each other. That's when chemistry goes from good to explosive. So the secret that feels too hot to share is actually the simplest one. Stop obsessing over what you're doing physically and start focusing on how you're making someone feel emotionally. Make them feel wanted. Make them feel safe. Make them feel alive. If you can do that, you'll never have to worry about whether or not you're good enough in the bedroom, because you'll already be unforgettable. Confidence is one of those things that people talk about endlessly but often misunderstand. Many imagine confidence as arrogance, as if walking into a room loudly announcing your presence is what makes you magnetic. But true confidence isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the way you carry yourself, the ease you bring into a situation, the sense that you don't need to prove anything because you already know your worth. In the bedroom, this is everything. Because no matter what techniques or moves you think you've perfected, if you approach intimacy with insecurity, with self-doubt, with that desperate need for validation, the whole experience becomes strained. But when you step into intimacy with calm assurance, With the belief that you are enough, you create a space where desire naturally grows. What makes confidence so irresistible is that it signals safety. It tells the other person, you can relax with me, you can let go, because I'm comfortable enough with myself to hold this space for us. That doesn't mean you have all the answers or that you'll never make a mistake. It means you aren't afraid of those things. You aren't measuring your worth by perfection. And when you bring that into the bedroom, suddenly the energy changes. You're no longer performing, you're sharing. You're not frantically trying to impress, you're inviting someone into a moment with you. That shift is subtle but powerful. Think about the times you've been around someone who radiated calm confidence. They didn't have to say much, they didn't have to try hard, yet you found yourself drawn to them. That same magnetism carries into intimacy. Confidence is what allows you to focus on the other person instead of spiraling into your own head. It lets you pay attention to their reactions, their needs, their enjoyment, instead of obsessing over whether or not you're doing everything right. And paradoxically, that's what makes you better. Because when you're not locked in self-doubt, you're actually present enough to notice the little signals that guide you. What many people miss is that insecurity kills desire far faster than lack of skill. When someone feels like you're constantly checking yourself, constantly worried about being good enough, they stop being able to lose themselves in the moment. It's as though your self-consciousness pulls them out of the experience too. But when you're grounded in your own value, when you move with certainty that your presence is enough, you free the other person to immerse themselves without second guessing. That's what confidence does. It gives permission. Permission to let go, permission to be playful, permission to explore without fear of judgment. And here's the thing, confidence isn't about pretending. It's not about faking an image of yourself that you secretly don't believe. Real confidence comes from acceptance. It's saying, I'm not perfect, but I don't need to be perfect to be valuable. That authenticity is what makes someone trust you, because nothing is sexier than someone who isn't trying too hard, who isn't chasing approval, who is simply at ease with who they are. In a world full of people performing for validation, that level of calm self-assurance feels rare and magnetic. So the so-called secret isn't that you need to learn a dozen techniques or outshine everyone else. It's that you need to walk into intimacy with the kind of confidence that says, I don't need to impress you, I just need to connect with you. That's the energy that transforms an ordinary encounter into something unforgettable. Confidence doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how the other person experiences you. It amplifies attraction, it deepens connection, and it allows chemistry to unfold naturally without pressure. And the beauty of it is, the more you practice being grounded in who you are, the more that confidence becomes second nature. Because in the end, confidence isn't about being flawless, it's about being fearless. And when you bring that fearlessness into the bedroom, you'll discover that the hottest secret of all was never about technique. It was about the energy you carry into every moment. Anticipation is one of the most underestimated forces when it comes to attraction. People think the magic happens in the act itself, but the truth is, the fire is lit long before that moment even begins. Desire doesn't suddenly appear when the lights go off. It builds in the small interactions, the subtle glances, the playful teases, the conversations that make someone feel both safe and excited at the same time. If you really think about it, some of the most unforgettable experiences weren't because of what physically happened, but because of the tension and excitement that built up before anything did. That's why anticipation often beats the act itself. It's the slow burn that makes the flame impossible to ignore. What makes anticipation so powerful is that it engages the imagination. When someone is left wondering, when their mind is painting pictures of what could happen, the feelings become far more intense. The unknown always carries more electricity than the known. That's why a simple touch can feel 1,000 times more potent when it's delayed, when it's hinted at, when it's built up with everything that came before. Rushing straight to the act can rob it of its intensity, because the beauty of intimacy is not just about satisfaction, it's about the journey. And the longer you let that journey unfold, the deeper the connection feels. Think of it like music. If a song started with the chorus, it might sound good, but it wouldn't have the same impact. The build-up, the verse, the pre-chorus, the gradual layering of emotion, that's what makes the climax hit so much harder. Intimacy works the same way. When you create moments that allow desire to grow slowly, you make every second more meaningful. It's the way you lean in closer, but don't kiss right away. The way you hold someone's gaze a little longer. The way you let silence carry its own weight. These are not accidents. They're the very things that make the eventual release unforgettable. Another reason anticipation is so powerful is because it shows restraint. It says, I don't need to rush this, because I'm confident enough to let it unfold naturally. That restraint is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates control, and control heightens desire. People often underestimate the strength of patience in attraction. When you don't grab everything at once, when you can slow down and savor, you communicate that the connection means more than just instant gratification. That's when the experience becomes not just physical, but deeply emotional. And here's the interesting part. Anticipation doesn't just live in the bedroom. It starts hours, even days before. It's in the way you text, the way you hint at wanting someone without spelling it all out, the way you create an inside joke that leaves them thinking about you long after the conversation ends. It's the subtle gestures that keep someone's mind replaying the possibilities over and over again. By the time you're finally together, half the magic has already been created in their imagination. What people forget is that once something happens, it's no longer a mystery. The mind stops wandering and the unknown becomes known. But when you master anticipation, you prolong that delicious uncertainty. You stretch the tension so that when it finally breaks, it feels extraordinary. That's why anticipation often feels hotter than the act itself, because while the act satisfies, anticipation ignites. So the real secret isn't always in what you do in the moment. It's in how you build the moment before it arrives. It's in how you let someone's mind wander, how you create space for curiosity, how you leave them hanging on the edge of what could be. That's the art of anticipation. And when you learn how to wield it, you'll realize that the build-up is not just part of the experience. It's the part that makes everything else unforgettable. Presence is one of the most underrated qualities when it comes to intimacy, yet it's the very thing that makes a moment unforgettable. So many people get caught up in the idea of performance, believing they need to be impressive, to put on a show, to live up to some invisible standard of what intimacy should look like. But performance, no matter how polished, always feels like an act. And acts are tiring. What people truly crave isn't a performance, it's presence. The kind of presence where you're not distracted, not thinking of yourself, not lost in worry about whether you're doing everything perfectly, but instead you're there, fully absorbed in the person in front of you. That's where the real magic begins. Think about the moments in your life when you felt completely seen. It wasn't because someone dazzled you with grand gestures or flawless execution. It was because they were with you in that moment. Undistracted and fully engaged. They weren't rushing ahead or replaying something in their head. They were there, listening, noticing, responding to you. Now carry that into intimacy. Imagine being with someone who isn't thinking about whether they look good or whether they're doing something impressive, but who is locked into every detail of you. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you respond. That's not just attractive, it's intoxicating. The reason presence is so much more powerful than performance is because performance is about ego, while presence is about connection. When someone is performing, they're thinking, do I look good? Am I doing this right? Are they impressed by me? But when someone is present, they're thinking, how do they feel? What do they need in this moment? What are we creating together right now? That shift makes all the difference. Performance can get you applause, but presence creates chemistry. Performance ends when the act is over, but presence lingers because it makes people feel something they can't forget. And the truth is, performance often adds pressure for both people. If you're trying to impress, you're going to feel anxious, and that anxiety seeps into the energy between you. The other person senses it. Instead of being relaxed, they're wondering if they're responding the way you want them to. Instead of being immersed, they're caught up in the tension you've created by trying so hard. But presence has the opposite effect. It relaxes. It tells the other person, you don't need to be anyone but yourself right now. That safety is what allows people to let go of inhibitions and experience something truly deep. Presence is also about slowing down. Performance rushes. It wants to get to the climax, to the part that feels like the highlight. But presence knows that every step has its own beauty. It's not about racing ahead, it's about savoring each moment as it comes. That's why someone who is present can make the smallest gesture feel extraordinary. A look, a pause, a touch, all of it takes on new weight when it comes from someone who is fully there with you. And maybe the most important part of presence is honesty. When you're present, you're not faking enthusiasm. You're not pretending to feel something you don't. You're authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. People crave it. They can sense when you're really there versus when you're just going through motions. Presence makes intimacy feel real, and real is always hotter than perfect. So if you want to create unforgettable experiences, let go of the pressure to perform. Stop worrying about whether you're living up to some imagined expectation. Instead, bring your full self into the moment. Look, listen, notice, respond. Be there completely with no agenda other than to connect. That's the secret people remember. Because long after the details fade, what stays with them is how deeply they felt you were there. And in the end, that presence is far more powerful than any performance could ever be. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, when in reality it is one of the most powerful forces in intimacy. Most people walk into the bedroom carrying invisible armor, walls built out of fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. They try to hide the parts of themselves they're insecure about, covering them with confidence that isn't real or with distractions that keep them from being truly seen. But here's the truth. The very thing you're afraid to reveal is often the thing that creates the deepest connection. Vulnerability doesn't kill attraction. It fuels it. Because when someone feels you're willing to show the real you, flaws and all, they suddenly feel safe to show the real them too. And that's when intimacy stops being just physical and becomes unforgettable. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how magnetic it feels when someone is unapologetically themselves? When they laugh at their own quirks, when they admit their nervousness, when they let you in on their insecurities without making a big performance out of it. There's something incredibly attractive about that honesty. It breaks the tension. It says, I trust you enough to let you see me. That trust is intoxicating because it creates freedom. Freedom to stop pretending, freedom to stop performing, freedom to actually feel. And the more freedom there is, the more explosive the chemistry becomes. The opposite of vulnerability is pretense. Pretense creates distance. If you're too busy worrying about being perfect, you never really let the other person touch the real you. They might touch your body, but they won't touch your heart. And no matter how technically skilled someone might be, if they never let their guard down, if they never allow themselves to be known, the experience will always feel shallow. Vulnerability is what brings depth. It's what makes a moment resonate, what makes it linger long after it's over. But here's the paradox. Many people believe vulnerability will push someone away, when in reality it draws them closer. Admitting, "I'm nervous," or laughing at a clumsy moment, or even just letting someone see the parts of you you usually hide, creates a kind of intimacy no trick could replace. Because now you're not just sharing your body, you're sharing your humanity. And that's what people fall for, the human underneath the mask. The beauty of vulnerability is that it allows two people to meet in their truth instead of hiding behind roles. It's also worth remembering that vulnerability invites reciprocity. When you open up, you silently give permission for the other person to do the same. If you can laugh at your own imperfections, they'll feel safer to let go of theirs. If you can admit you don't always know what you're doing, they'll stop feeling pressure to pretend they have it all together. This is where real intimacy begins, when both people drop the act and simply exist together, imperfect but connected. And here's what makes vulnerability so powerful: it transforms what could have been ordinary into extraordinary. A simple kiss becomes deeper when it carries the weight of honesty. A touch becomes electric when it isn't about hiding, but about revealing. Vulnerability strips away the noise and leaves only the raw truth of two people choosing each other in that moment. That kind of intimacy can't be faked, and it's why vulnerability unlocks desire more effectively than any so-called secret technique. So the next time you feel pressure to be flawless, remember that intimacy isn't about flawless, it's about real. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be known. Let yourself show the parts of you that aren't polished. Because the secret that feels too hot to share isn't a perfect performance. It's the courage to be vulnerable. That's the kind of courage that creates experiences people never forget. The secret that feels too hot to share isn't really about a hidden move, a perfect technique, or some trick that only a few people know. It's about the energy you bring into the moment. It's that rare balance of making someone feel both safe and excited at the same time. Too much safety without excitement feels flat. Too much excitement without safety feels unstable. But when you can hold both at once, you create the kind of experience that stays in someone's mind long after the moment has passed. That's the real secret, and it's why people who seem unforgettable aren't always the most skilled, but they are the ones who know how to create an atmosphere where both comfort and fire coexist. Imagine this: you're with someone who makes you feel completely secure, who makes you feel accepted exactly as you are. You don't feel judged. You don't feel pressure. You don't feel like you need to be anyone other than yourself. That sense of safety makes you relax, it allows you to let go, and it opens the door to vulnerability. But at the same time, this person also knows how to bring energy, how to flirt, how to tease, how to spark that sense of curiosity and thrill that makes your pulse quicken. It's not one or the other, it's the mixture. Without safety, excitement can feel reckless. Without excitement, safety can feel dull. Together, they become irresistible. The funny thing is, most people lean too heavily in one direction. Some people focus only on being exciting, thinking that the more adventurous or bold they are, the more unforgettable they'll be. Others focus only on being reassuring, believing that if they're dependable and calm, that's enough. But it's the combination that creates intensity. It's the spark of excitement that makes the heart race, layered on top of the security that says, "You're safe to let go here." That's why the real secret is about the energy you bring, not the actions you take. This energy shows up in the little things. It's in the way you look at someone like they're the only person in the world, while at the same time making them laugh and keeping them guessing about what you'll do next. It's in the way you can be gentle one moment and playful the next. It's in the way you can hold space for silence without making it awkward, while also knowing when to break that silence with something that shifts the energy completely. These aren't techniques you memorize, they're feelings you create. And the more you practice tuning into someone, the easier it becomes to strike that balance. The truth is, people don't remember the technical details of intimacy. They remember how they felt. They remember if they felt desired. They remember if they felt safe. They remember if they felt alive. That's what lingers, and that's why the secret is so hard to put into words. Because it isn't a formula, it's a presence. It's the ability to walk into a moment and radiate both calm assurance and playful intensity. It's letting someone know without saying it, I've got you, and at the same time, I'm going to keep surprising you. So when people chase after some hidden move or trick, they're missing the point. The hottest secret isn't a move at all. It's the combination of emotions you inspire. It's the atmosphere you create that makes someone feel simultaneously grounded and electrified. That balance is rare, and that's why it feels too hot to share. Because once you understand it, you realize it isn't about what you do. It's about who you are in the moment. And when you master that, you'll never need to worry about whether you're unforgettable, because the experience will speak for itself.